Hey folks, welcome. We're going to wait a few minutes like normal. We normally wait about 3 to 5 minutes. In the meantime, the Q&A is open and we've got folks standing by to answer questions. So we'll start here in just a few minutes. We've still got some folks joining, so we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Q&A is open. I think we should go ahead and get started, Deb. A few minutes after. Welcome, everybody. Happy March the 3rd, the second year anniversary of the TCC being together, and hard to believe 2 years have gone by. We're excited that you're here tonight. Not a lot to cover. We want to give you some updates, talk about voting. Obviously, we are excited to have people vote to accept if you had voted negatively prior. That gave us the leverage that we needed to get back to the table on youth protection and basically control of the dollars and how settlements are done. And we're really excited about having the independent trustee appointed. That was a huge win, and I think she's the real deal, and she's going to manage the trust accordingly. So we're excited about that. So a reminder, we're not here to give legal advice. We're just here to update you. The TCC Council represents the TCC. It does not represent you, and we will not provide legal advice in this meeting. So with that, Doug, I'd like to turn it over to you to just review for the folks what's the basis of us changing from a no to yes.
Sure, John. Good evening, everyone. Happy 3rd of March. I should mention we'll talk a little bit at the end of this about the town hall meetings we're going to have after this with the confirmation hearing coming up. We're going to be taking a bit of a pause, but just wanted to mention again that the TCC is recommending acceptance of this plan. That's based on the 3 things that we've promised all along we wanted to do when the plan was rejected to begin with. That is to change youth protection. And I should mention, some of what I'm doing is refer to the website. We've posted on the website a file that shows what youth protection was in the last settlement and what it is on this settlement and the improvements. So that's a piece of it. The other piece is trust governance. And we think we've got trust governance now in a place, as John mentioned, where we can all have some confidence in how the trust is going to be run. And the last is the monetary path. And we think we've got a good monetary path. We put a pause on settlements that would be approved without TCC input, basically, and what's going to happen with monetary settlements after this. If you haven't checked the website and looked at last week's town hall, please take a look at that, because we went in depth into the reasons why the Boy Scouts going into Chapter 7, why that would be a bad idea for survivors, and why it would leave survivors, especially those in states with bad statutes, would really leave them out in the cold. So if anybody's telling you that was a good idea, please check the facts, go back and look at last week's town hall where we talk about that in detail. Also on the website, we've got instructions for, there's still time to change your vote, and John Lucas is going to talk about that. We put together a video talking about the trust distribution options and the review options to give you a little bit better idea how that might be working if it's confirmed. And then lastly, when we overhauled the website, we took down the local council dashboards. Those are the financial dashboards that the TCC's financial professionals put together. We took them off. It was not an intentional act. And we heard from a number of people that said, where'd the dashboards go? So we put them back up. So just want to give everybody a heads up about some changes, some things on the website. And please look back, check the website periodically, because as changes occur, that's where we'll post things.
Yeah, Doug, one last thing on that. You know, you guys did that really great video on trust distribution, independent review. And right underneath the video is a time slice of all of the major topics in that video. And I think it was really helpful when I went out there. If I just wanted to look at 2 or 3 things, it said, you know, where's the minutes where these things started. So really, really nice job. Makes it easy to figure out what's going on. So with that, let's talk a little bit about vote changing. And John Lucas, can you lead us through a discussion there?
You bet, you bet. Deborah, can you please put up the slides for the votes? Thank you. So everybody, first thing I'm going to say before we get started with the votes is that obviously the voting deadline has been extended, and it's been extended to March 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And so that means that the new vote or your election on the ballot, whether it's a master ballot or a direct ballot, needs to be in the hands of Omni by March 7th, no later than 4 p.m. Eastern time. And so if your attorney collected your vote and sent your vote, your election in to Omni by way of what we call a master ballot with your attorney's other client survivors, then you need to get in touch with your attorney and inform your attorney of what your elections are. You could change from accept to reject, reject to accept. You can elect to do the $3,500. You could unelect to do the $3,500 if you did it before. All the options are open. But obviously, as we've said before in the prior town halls, the TCC are recommending that everybody accept the plan. We think that the current plan in its current form is the best option collectively for all survivors. And so if your attorney isn't getting back to you, then there at the bottom here, and these slides are up on the tccbsa.com website. At the bottom there on the last bullet, there's an email address where you can email Omni, the voting agent, and ask for your own ballot. So let's go to the next slide, please, Deborah. So again, here, individual ballots. If you have the ballot in your hand, then accept or reject. You could change any of those items, change the 3,500 distribution, opt out or not opt out. But again, the TCC is recommending for everybody to accept the plan. And again, the deadline is 4 p.m. Eastern time next Monday, March 7th. Has to be in the hands of Omni. Postmarking doesn't work. So let's go to the next slide, Deborah. Here is some information. Oh, one more. So when you do your ballot, you have to make sure that you sign it and you put in all the information that it's requesting, the last 4 digits of your social security number, maybe your address, and any other information that it's asking for, and then you sign it and send it in. There's the information to snail mail it, and there's a web address there on the bottom. If you were to scan your ballot and upload the PDF through the web portal to Omni, which is obviously once that's done, it's immediate. And again, to the attorneys that might be listening to the town hall and you're doing the master ballot, you need to do 3 things. You need to use the Excel document to update the change votes. You need to send in a new log that reflects how your clients instructed you to record the vote. That is, did you have a phone call with them? Did you get an email from them? The date and all those things, when those things occurred. And then lastly, the firm has to execute the certification that it did before and, and date it and send those three things into Omni. And so here on the last slide, if anybody has questions, you could email us here at tccquestions@pscjlaw.com. You could call Omni there, the Omni's voting agent hotline. Email Omni there at the BSA ballots omniagent.com. And again, the website portal there at the bottom. So, if you're represented by counsel and you email the TCC at the TCC questions, their email address, we're not going to respond to you. I apologize in advance, but if you're represented by counsel, your counsel needs to contact us. And but if you're not represented by counsel, then we will respond to you and we'll get back to you. And if you're having problems with Omni getting you a ballot, we could help facilitate that and get a ballot in your hands as quickly as possible.
Great.
That's all I have on the voting, everybody.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Jim, people kind of want to know, where do we go from here? What does the confirmation hearing look like? I've seen two questions that you might want to weave into your answer. One is, of the other insurance companies, where are we on settlement negotiations or answers? And you might outline the control that we have over that in the agreement, and then what an appeal delay might look like. So I know you're going to talk about it going through the appeals court or the district court and that sort of thing. So I think that'll get those two questions. So if you could talk to us about where we go from here, that'd be great.
Sure. So the confirmation hearing starts on March 14th at 10 o'clock Eastern time. That is going to be by Zoom, and people will be able to attend that hearing, much like they have been able to attend all of the hearings that the court has conducted. There will be no live presence in the courtroom. Could that change between now and the 14th? Possibly, but the last information we have from the court is that it's going to be all by Zoom. So let's work kind of backwards from that date. Yesterday was the deadline for filing objections to the confirmation hearing.
So those are replies to objections
Replies.
and briefs in support of the plan.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
So if you go onto the Omni docket and you want to read encyclopedic works on the various issues that are before the court, that would be a good place to go and get an education. On March 7th, the court is expecting the debtor to provide, and other parties, to provide a witness list and an exhibit list that will be filed. Whether that's going to be something that will be one integrated list, I think the judge would have said she'd appreciate that, but we'll have to see to what extent the various parties who are participating in the hearing can actually coordinate that. On March 7th, as we've indicated, there is a deadline for any vote changes. So March 7th is an important date for survivors in terms of their voice being heard. It is also an important date to see exactly what the lineup is going to look like for the confirmation hearing. On March 8th, I believe it's also at 10 o'clock Eastern, the court is having a pretrial hearing. The court's going to try to sort out as best as she can what it's actually going to look like on the 14th. For example, in a unrelated mass tort case, the bankruptcy court said, I want these topics handled on these days. I want these topics handled on the next 3 days. And one could decide if you wanted to zoom in on the exciting issues regarding subject matter jurisdiction versus the ability to issue and the standards to issue third-party injunctions versus issues regarding voting. It's possible that this may be approached by topic, but we won't know for sure before the 8th. And frankly, we may not know even after the 8th. But there is a pretrial hearing that if you're interested in attending the the March 14th hearing, you might get a sense of what's going to happen if you zoom in on the March 8th hearing. On March 10th, there is the voting report. The votes are due March 7th. The voting report is due March 10th. And then we have the hearing start on the 14th. The court has said, we were talking about this before we went online tonight. Most people's experience, hopefully, with the legal system is watching it on TV. And you have a jury, and there's an opening statement, and it's all very dramatic. This is what we would call, in effect, a bench trial. There is no jury. And Judge Silverstein has had an enormous amount of briefing. She's had to resolve a large number of disputes regarding discovery. So she's got a pretty good idea as to what the issues are going to be. And so an opening argument, like you see on, if I date myself a little bit, Perry Mason, is this is what we're going to prove. This is the story we are going to tell through our witnesses. She knows the story. Anyone can read the briefs, and you'll know what the story that is expected to be told. I was reading the Boy Scout brief today, and often it says, we will show at trial X, Y, and Z. So in effect, the opening statement where people say, this is my story, has already been done. And she has said she does not need any opening statements. So I would think that, except for some minor housekeeping issues, on the 14th, the debtor will put on its first witness. Okay, live witnesses, part of the drama. The court is willing to accept testimony, direct testimony. This is what the witness wants to say. By the witness being, in effect, live, meaning on the Zoom, or by declaration. If the witness is going to provide his or her testimony by declaration, those declarations must be submitted at least 72 hours before the start of the hearing, because the court wants to familiarize, before the witness is put on. So if I'm going to be, I'm not going to be a witness, but if I were a witness, the court wants to see my declaration 3 days before, and then I have to be available for cross-examination. So testimony will be provided one of two ways: by live testimony or by declaration, and the witness will be available for cross-examination. How long is this all going to take? We don't know. The court at a hearing recently explained that she pretty much had the 2 weeks following March 14th as being open. I think she said one day she might have had some other matters, but I think you could expect this will, for the most part, be every day. And they have breaks for lunch, but this is a hardworking judge, and so she'll do what's necessary to get it done. But how long it will take, we really don't know. The pretrial hearing on March 8th may tell us something about that. So this is important for those of you that are going to attend by Zoom. She does not want your camera on unless you are speaking to the court. And she's made it really clear, folks, really clear, that if you're represented by counsel, it is your lawyer's job to address the court. You will not be allowed to speak to the court directly. So you got to do it through a lawyer, unless, of course, you're a witness. That's different. But if someone just wants to speak to the court about a position they have, why the plan should or should not be confirmed, when that's done, will probably be at the end of the people testifying, but it's got to be through your attorney if you have an attorney. And if you intended to participate, there is a notice that you have to file. John, I'm not sure what the deadline is for that, but you can't just waltz in and say, gee, I'm here, I'd like to talk to you, Judge. You have to file a notice of intention to participate.
Correct. And people are still doing that to this day. And if you would like a form of to participate in the confirmation hearing, please email us here at the TCC and we could send you a form. And I'm sorry, Jim, if you already said this, if you are represented by counsel, she will not let you participate. You have to participate through counsel.
Yeah. And I want to make clear, you don't have to file this notice of intention to participate to listen. Anyone can walk into the courtroom, if you will. This is if you intend to speak to the court or have your attorney speak to the court.
Yeah, well, and Jim, you raise a good point, and I'm not sure if you covered this as I was sort of answering questions. If you do just want to attend, then you have to register, and you have to send in your email address, and you'll get a Zoom link back from the court. And so when the agendas for the confirmation hearing are filed, there's a link on the agenda that you click, and it'll bring you to the court's website, and it'll say, please enter your name, please enter your email address, and then you will get an automatic Zoom link back from the court within a couple of hours.
John, it's much like everyone's been doing for all the prior hearings.
Yes, there's no different, but I just don't know if there's anybody new here, or if people haven't been attending the hearing and they want to see the confirmation hearing, which reminds me, perhaps Doug and I will create a little outline of, hey, how do I sign up to attend the hearing by video or Zoom? And perhaps we'll even post the agendas on the TCC website so that they're readily available for everybody, and they have to go looking for them through on the Omni docket.
So after the court has taken all the testimony, and again, that could be 2 to 3 weeks, the court is then going to, and it may be the next day, it won't necessarily be the moment the last witness testifies. The court will say to the parties, you spent a lot of time educating me about issues, but can you address this particular issue? Can you help me out on this particular legal matter? Or there's a factual dispute. Maybe she'll have questions for the witnesses that she'll want to go back and ask. So there will be a closing argument. There will be a chance for everyone to say, we told you the story, Judge, through the witnesses. Now here's the law, and this is where you should come out. When that closing argument will occur, we don't know. It could occur right after the testimony is completed, but I suspect there'll be a little break because the judge may have questions that she'll want people to address at their closing. So what happens when the closing is finished? She gets to go back into her office and issue an opinion and an order on whether or not she's going to confirm the plan. How long will that take? Good question. I don't have the answer. Some judges can do it in a couple of days. Some judges take longer. There really is no way of telling how long it's going to take. The only thing I can assure you is that Judge Silverstein considers this probably the most important case that she currently has on her docket. And she understands the importance to the organization, but I think more importantly to all of you, that you need to know what the resolution is going to be. Okay, she's now issued her opinion. She's written her order. The plan will be confirmed. We want you to vote yes, so I'm going to go with that path, if you will. What happens next? Well, the Boy Scouts are going to take the Judge Silverstein's order and her opinion to the district court for the District of Delaware. Because of the nature of the claims in this case, her jurisdiction, Judge Silverstein's jurisdiction, to confirm a plan. Some people debate it and question it. So the Boy Scouts are going to get what they call an affirmation order from the district court. How long will it take the district court to do that? We don't know. So there's not going to be an appeal from the bankruptcy court to the district court. They are going to ask the district court to essentially bless what Judge Silverstein has done. Okay. Now the district court has done that. What happens next? Someone asked about appeals. There is the right to appeal from the District of Delaware decision to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. That appellate period is 30 days. From the time the district court enters its order approving the plan, those who opposed it have a 30-day opportunity to ask the Third Circuit Court of Appeals to take it. If the Third Circuit decides to take, well, if the Third Circuit, if there is an appeal to the Third Circuit, will the plan still go forward? will people be funding money and so forth? We'll have to go back to the specifics of the plan and see, because the settlements vary with the insurance companies as to when certain monies are supposed to go into effect. But until the order is final, meaning that there is no appeal pending, the case is not going to start processing, probably will not start processing the reviews of claims and liquidating assets that are being given to the trust. I mean, it's an open question as to how much can be done while the appeal is pending, but the time frame is bankruptcy court finishes, district court finishes 30 days before the Third Circuit might be called upon to consider an appeal. Our negotiations going on with the insurance companies. Tim Gallagher, who is the mediator, continues to work to try to bring settlements to the parties. We have a provision in the term sheet settlement agreement with the debtor that until the effective date of the plan, meaning when the order is final and everything goes into place, no settlement can be reached without the TCC's approval. Now, there are other people that have veto rights too, but we're just talking about the TCC tonight. That was done to avoid low-end settlements. And so there are discussions going on with the insurance companies, and the TCC has a veto right. That's it, John.
Thank you. So as you guys can hear, you know, one step at a time. I think the important thing is to get the votes in so that at least we show 85 to 90%, and then the confirmation hearing is a process of legal arguments. Just, you know, the vote's not a complete slam dunk. So it's the legal arguments, and then it has to go through the judicial process. So it's going to take some time. You know, I guess if you're still on the fence, I would just say, think through what your alternatives are if you don't think this is the best way forward, because we've thought about every way forward. and we honestly, we wouldn't be making this recommendation if we didn't think this was the best for survivors. So anyway, Doug, anything in closing tonight?
You know, the only thing I wanted to say was, you know, our professionals have been through bankruptcy. They know how it works. John and I don't know how confirmation hearing works and what happens after. The 9 members of the TCC don't. So we're going to be keeping an eye on what's happening. We'll update the website when we know we're going to have another town hall meeting. I think John Lucas is absolutely right. We'll put something together. So please check the website. We don't have the ability to send out notices any longer, so you can ask your attorney to do that if you have one. And I think I just want everybody to know that as we enter into this next phase of bankruptcy, John and I and the TCC will be trying to update people when it's going to make the absolute best sense, and check the website.
Yeah, you know, honestly, in a lot of ways, the TCC becomes the sideshow, and all the professionals take over and work with the judge and the legal system. So probably as informative to stay close to the Omni site and see what gets posted as anything else. But our next scheduled town hall, we're going to move back to monthlies. It'll be like April 7th, but, you know, we're going to be fungible on that depending on if there are any developments that we feel like you guys need to know about. So with that, stay safe. Look at TCC BSA. If you have questions, TCC questions at pszjlaw.com. Appreciate all of our speakers and question guys. Nice work. You got through just about all but like 5 or 6. So that was great work. And everybody have a really nice evening.
Thanks.
And enjoy your March.
Stay strong, everybody.
Good night.